Hey everybody, so today I'm going to show you how to do some maintenance on the chipper on the BC1000, the Vermeer BC1000. Might apply to other chippers, but this is the way I do it on mine. So I'm going to be replacing the teeth, or at least I'm going to take a look at them, see if they're sharp or not, and then I'm going to replace them. So first you got to do is take off this cover. You need a 16mm socket, an impact drill, a screwdriver, a knife if you got one, extensions, and then the 22mm socket, and water. I'll show you guys what the water's for. So I'm going to take off the cover first, and then I'll walk you through the steps. Hopefully this helps. So there's a total of 6 bolts, pretty easy to take off. Just put them to the side. This cover lifts backwards, and here you have the teeth, or the blades. So when you rotate the drum, be very careful because there's a blade on this end, and then one on this side when you rotate it. It looks like they do have to be changed. Sharp, and they're pretty dull. We hit some rocks and dirt and whatnot with these, so every, I'd say 2 months they have to be rotated, depending on the use, of course, and what you throw through them. But we'll just rotate them on this side. This one's good to go, it's sharp. So there's one blade there, and then one blade right here. Yeah, this one's also dull. Okay, so the way to do it is there's this pin that's hidden underneath right over here. So you gotta pull it, rotate the blade, and then it sits right over there. It inserts, so that way the drum doesn't spin. So the easiest way I found to take off the blades is using water. You don't need any W40 or any degreaser or anything like that. So these bolts get a bunch of dirt and chips stuck in between. So what I do is I pour water in here and then let it sit for like 30 seconds, and then I scrape it out with a knife. And that seems to be the most effective way. At least the fastest way I found it to do it, because the wood absorbs the water really quickly, and so when you start digging at it, it comes out pretty quick. Like this one, you break it apart inside. It usually takes me about 5 minutes per side, depending on how badly they're stuck. So you just do that on all 4. Make sure you clean them, pour water as needed, clean all that stuff out, and then we'll move to the next part. So there we go. That took about 3 minutes to clean them all out. When you do the cleaning, make sure you get all the little pieces of bark or rocks or anything that's in here, because when you put the socket, and if it doesn't sit well, it's gonna strip the bolt. And then taking these bolts out with the stripped head, it's a nightmare. So definitely make sure this is cleaned out pretty good. The water doesn't really matter, because once you put the socket, you're good to go. It's a 22. We actually need a 24. Yeah, it's not a 22, it's a 24. Gotta go grab it. Alright, grab the right one. It's a 24mm socket, goes right on there. Yep, fits all 4. So the extender, or the extension part, I usually use the middle one. This one you need it because the blade on this side, and when you're putting the torque gun, Without an extension, it jams underneath when you're trying to take out the bolt, so you need to have it higher than the box. I'll show you guys when I take off the other side. But this one's pretty simple. This side should go quickly. Okay, so it's ready to take off the bolts. Make sure you have it in the fastest position, and make sure you have a full battery. I don't have a full battery. I have only 2 lines charged, but hopefully that should do the job. I do have the bigger battery, the CX 8.0, so that should do the job, but it does quite some torque on it. And there we go. That came up pretty quickly. 1 down, 2, 3. So there we go. That's why you need the extension. On the 4th one, you either get stuck on this side or on the other side. So I should have added the extension from the beginning. Cut it on. And the 4th one. Just took it out. It's as easy as that. You have a good impact wrench. Takes them out pretty quickly, and if you have a strong battery, definitely makes a difference, because I tried it with the smaller batteries and it does not work the same. It's much slower. It does not have that same amount of power. So you take these out. 2, 3. Four. When you grab it, make sure you don't grab the sharp side, because I ended up cutting myself a few times with it, because these blades, especially if they're brand new, this side is dull so it's fine, but when they're brand new, they're extremely sharp. So I've cut myself before pretty badly. So be careful when you're swapping blades. Use gloves, or just be careful when you do it. Put that aside for now. And so when you're inserting it back, I like to scrape all the junk that's right here. Make sure it's clean, because if it doesn't sit well, stuff gets in it, and because if it spins so fast, there's a vibration, and it does ruin the bolts, and it could even break the blade. So make sure this is cleaned. I gotta grab some paper towel and some more water, and then just scrape this off, clean it, and then reverse the blade and put it back. So there you go. I scraped this. It took me like 30 seconds, just using the same knife, scraping the top. It doesn't have to be extremely clean, as long as there's nothing major obstructing it. So all the other stuff is just grime that's stuck between the cracks, but there's nothing major that I can scrape off anymore. And then same thing with the blade. There's stuff that builds up underneath right here. You use either a napkin or the knife and then just clean it, reverse it, and put it back. Okay, I'm done cleaning it. Make sure you also clean the inside where the bolts go, so that way they sit better. If there's any like dirt or anything else in here, grime, just clean it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And same with the other side. Make sure there's nothing that would will leave a gap. The rust is not a big deal, or a little grime, but as long as there's no dirt on it, it should be good. And it goes on pretty easily, the same way it came off. Just put the sharp side back on. Sorry. Dull side goes back. Align it with the bolts, and then just drop them back, and that's it. Fairly simple. And then tighten the bolts. Tighten them. I don't do specs or torque amount with the torque wrench. Special specifications, I don't really care about that. I haven't noticed that it makes a big difference. I just torque it till it stops. Just use the same gun, same settings, and yeah, never had any issues. I haven't had the bolts break on me or the blades or anything like that, so torque specs don't really matter that much. I forgot to mention, underneath the drum, right inside here, basically it's a bit of a gap. It's hard to see, but underneath there's a piece of metal that the bolts screw into, and sometimes it falls out, so you just have to align it and put it back in its place. It's like this thick, and it's the same length as that. So the bolts go right through here, and they screw in at the bottom and to this big piece of metal, a metal block. I don't know what it's called. So just make sure that's aligned. Usually it doesn't fall because it's like snug together, but sometimes it detaches and then you can't put the blade back. So just make sure it's flush with the drum. Once you drop the bolts in, once you at least drop one or two, it gets aligned, and then it should work. So mine didn't detach this time. It rarely ever does. But sometimes I take it off to clean it if these don't tighten properly. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you're having any issues inserting back the bolts. So what I like to do is not tighten it all the way, just tighten it slightly till I get all four of them. And then I usually tighten the first one, the last one, and then this one, and that. Oops. It's hard to hold the phone and do this. And that's it. That should do it. Go. Sharp side on, dull side backwards, and then once I take them off again for the next change, I take it to the shop and they grind it, or sometimes I use my own grinder. At the shop they do it very professionally. They don't have these little nicks and everything, but last time I sharpened them, I was in a rush. They usually take a couple weeks, which sucks, but with a grinder it's pretty easy to do. So I'm done with this side. I'll do the other side. This took me like 15 minutes per side with recording, so usually it takes about 10, give or take. It's a pretty quick job if you know what you're doing, if you got the right tools. So I'll show you guys the other side real quick. So yeah, make sure you take off the pin. It sits back in there. Rotate with the dull side. Once you get here, there's another slot for the pin. There we go. It just fell in here. It locks itself in place. You do the same thing. You pour water, let it sit, then take the dirt out, take the bolts off, rotate the blade to clean it, and you're good to go. One thing to keep in mind when you're cleaning, make sure you don't touch this. Happens every damn time, because this thing gets greased, so the grease always seeps out, and I put a bit too much this time. You always get on your freaking pants. Great. What you could do is you get a piece of paper towel and just slap it on there. That way it keeps you clean and you don't get dirty. I think that's a good solution. I just came up with it. Yeah, there you go, that should work. So as you guys can see, with a knife, this stuff comes out really quickly. I tried doing it with with the screwdriver, but it's not the same. It's thicker, so it's hard to get in here. But with a knife, because it's has a sharp edge and the sharp tip, it comes up pretty quickly. I don't know, maybe there's another special tool, but this seems to be the most effective way, at least for me, to do it. There you go. One side is done. I'm gonna flush that out in a bit. Move on to the next. It's hard to hold the phone and do this at the same time. There you go. See, there's these pieces that get stuck in here. Two down, two more to go. It's pretty quickly. The first time I bought a chipper, I bought it from somebody else and took it to the shop because they didn't know how to change the blades. And they told me that the blades are jammed and then they had to cut them out, yada yada. So they ended up charging the guy that I bought the chipper from, I think it was like $1,000. Which now I look at it, which is insanity. Like, I don't know how rusty they must have been, because blades get changed pretty often. So what in the world happened that they could not take these out, and so they had to cut them out apparently. Probably bullshit. And they charged the guy like $1,000 something just for changing two blades. I should have figured it out, done it myself, but still new to the game. I didn't know how to take it apart or what tools I need or anything. And then I slowly figured it out. But you know, a learning curve. That's how it is. Owning tools and owning equipment. If you don't learn, maintenance will kill you. My stump grinder broke down today at a job site. So I took it to the shop to get it fixed. There's an issue with there's this device that controls how fast the blade spins on the stump grinder. It's like a, I don't know what it's called, hydraulic regulator, pressure regulator or something. And so they got to change that up. There's no way to fix it. There's like a little valve inside this little piece of, it's kind of like a block, and that apparently regulates the hydraulic, how much hydraulic fluid goes towards the blade from the tank. So they're gonna figure that out, replace it, and hopefully I can pick it up tomorrow. I'll make another video, show you guys what's wrong and what the side effects are, or what to look out for if that ever happens. And sometimes it looks like an easy fix, just swapping one part. But yeah, there we go. This is all cleaned out. I'm gonna flush it with water, take out the bolts, rotate the blade, and that should be it. So this is why you need an extension, this exact spot. So when you try to take out the last bolt, if you don't have an extension, the impact gun sits like way below here and it just jams. There's no way to put it. You try to do it at an angle and it starts stripping the bolt. So extension is the best thing you can do, because you have to have it upright. There we go. I took off the bolt pretty quickly. I mean, pretty quick. All four are out. It's pretty simple if you already know. I mean, if you know how to do it. Once you do it a couple times, yeah, the second time is much easier. Take that off. So on this side, it's probably easier to see. There's that block underneath. You can see where it divides right over there. So that whole metal block underneath is what holds the bolts in. So you don't have to take this off because there's no reason to, unless it falls. You gotta take it out, clean it, and then put it back. But other than that, I never take it out. I only take out the blade, the bolts, clean the underside. See, there's this stuff that jams at the edge, and sometimes it goes right underneath the blade if the bolts aren't tight enough. So I've heard that causing a lot of issues, or even snapping these blades off because how fast the way the drum spins. So yeah, make sure you clean the underside and then where the bolts go, and don't touch the sharp side. And when you clean the edge, just be careful, use gloves or just don't touch it. Should be good. Okay, so I'm done cleaning this other side. I'm just gonna put the bolts back in. 2, 3, 4. I usually tighten them just a bit by hand, and then I use the gun to finish off the rest. Tighten them, but not completely all the way, just so they're snug. And then tighten them at the end. Yes, torque them at the end. Oops. Alright, let's start with this one. And there you guys have it. All done. Make sure you don't forget to take off the pin, because when you start the chipper and the pin is there, the drum's not going to rotate and you got to take off the cover again. It's a whole mess. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know if there's other maintenance on the equipment that you guys don't know how to do or would like me to walk you through it. I'm going to post another video of how to do just regular maintenance, like changing the air filters, the fuel filters, where all the grease points are, and a few other things. So yeah, thank you guys.